Good morning, good day, good afternoon, good evening, whenever it is whenever you're tuning in here. My name's Mark Wagner. I'm your host for DentalBytes. I'm a little discombobulated. I'm not usually in the studio on this particular day, but that's what's going to make it's going to give this conversation an interesting flavor, I think. I was just talking to my guest before she jumped on here. I think she's in the same spot. I'm kind of feeling it. I've been working on getting this guest on for the last 3 years or something. It's a message. Oh yeah. I'll come on, and then life happens, and we're gonna get into that. And without further ado, I'm just gonna bring her on. Anna Middleton, the London Hygienist. How the heck are you? Thanks for tuning in and joining me today.
I am so glad we finally got to make this happen.
Me too. And you've been so you were sick over the weekend, you were saying.
I was tired.
And just tired, taking some time, and you just told me it's your 10-year anniversary for doing all this crazy stuff. Let's start at the beginning of Anna. Where did the magic begin?
I'm going to make a long story short. I never, ever saw dentistry in my life plan. I actually did sound engineering and music tech first. Didn't make it as a musician, even though there's still time. But around, let's say 2008, when we had the financial credit crunch hit in the UK, the arts company I was working for lost all its funding. The bars and restaurants I was working in started closing down. And ultimately, it left me wanting to pursue a career and not just a job. I had a friend who was a dental nurse, and she said, why don't you become a dental nurse? And I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. I can study and work. It's, an apprenticeship style learning program. And at the time, I actually didn't even know what a dental hygienist was. So it wasn't until I got my first job as a dental nurse that I then met the hygienist, and she became my inspiration. Shout out to Pauline. She was the one who inspired me. She worked, sort of 4 days a week. Everyone loved her, went on 4 exotic holidays a year. I thought, this is the life I want. Needless to say, my life looked nothing like that. But that was the sort of, she was the one that inspired me. And then the journey began from there. I didn't have the grades to get into uni, but somehow I got in, and that's where this all started, I guess.
The magic, what did you like? What enticed you the most about getting into the field? What was it? What was there one magical thing? What was it? The lifestyle? What was that for you?
I think it was, as I said, I was looking for that career, and I also like a challenge. When people say it can't be done, I'm like, yeah, get some popcorn, sit down, I'm going to show you. I think I've always been one of those people that if you tell me I can't do something, I will go and do it. And like I said, I was against the odds. I didn't have the grades to get into uni. There was a lot sort of riding on it. And there just was something about watching her treat patients and how they were with her. But equally, I think the sort of, I guess, manual labor aspect of the job as well. You're not just sat at a desk. You're constantly doing different things. You're using different parts of your brain. No 2 days or 2 patients are the same. And there was something about that variety that I think I liked and needed as well. And as much as I enjoyed the dental nursing, I just saw greater potential to, climb that ladder.
How much has changed in these, the 10 years since you've started? What is gleamingly sticking out the most for you?
I think, as I reflect, I'm really passionate about tech and innovation. So first of all, I think it's amazing to see how much we're leveraging that now. When I was a dental nurse, for example, we used to process the radiographs in chemicals still, and I'd come back 10 minutes after going to develop them because I'd lost one down the back and I would have to fish it out. And then, I think the role of hygienists and therapists, are becoming more and more prevalent. The focus on actual preventative treatment is becoming more prevalent. People are seeing the hygienist as, a necessity and not just a luxury. So it's ever changing, and I think the public's awareness about what we do has increased through the use of social media, through press, through brands working with hygienists and not just dentists. And I'm excited to see what else sort of comes from it.
Yeah. When did the whole London hygienist thing, when did that spark for you? Like what was the moment, the aha moment for you?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question. So when I went to uni, my aspirations were to qualify, work on Harley Street, which for those of you who don't know is a very prevalent medical street in London. I wanted to make about £50 an hour and work 3-4 days a week, and that was as high as I'd set my bar. I did all those things and I didn't enjoy them. But something that happened while I was at university, the year I went to university was 2013, which in the UK was the year they brought in something called direct access, which meant patients could see a hygienist or therapist under their scope of practice without needing a prescription from the dentist first. So this, I was like, this is going to be game changing. This is going to massively open the doors and increase access to dental services. So I sat down and I did a little bit of market research, and I thought, if someone wanted to find me as a hygienist, what would they look for? They're definitely not going to search my name and find me. But I Googled London hygienist and nothing came up. So I bought the .com, .co.uk, any social media handles that were available at the time. I slowly swiped them up. And ultimately, I just had this and sat on it. So after I qualified and I was working my fancy job that I thought I really wanted, I actually got fired and things weren't really working out for me. I didn't get fired because I did anything bad, but it was more my boss at the time had cognitive dissonance, saw me as the problem. And what do you do when someone's a problem? You get rid of the problem. And all I was trying to do was be innovative and forward thinking, but that person didn't like it. So I thought to myself, like, why am I trying to be the star of someone else's show? I was
Yeah.
like, this is ridiculous. And I just felt I had I planted the seed of London hygienist. So I thought, right, let me run with it. And really the growth of it came from not having any patience. So I was like, let's leverage direct access. My mission statement was always to improve access to dental services and change the way we deliver oral healthcare. So I started using social media along with some other professional, medical and dental and health professionals at the time, using it as a platform to inform the public, tell them about my services, bust myths, set the record straight and rewrite the sort of narrative. And I guess using social media really was the platform, which then put me in the spotlight to be seen by, I guess, brands, other clinicians, the public, press. And it's one of those things I always say to people. They say, "Oh, you're so lucky. You're so lucky." I'm like, it's compound interest. You don't see the hard work. It was like this for so long, and then it took off. This isn't something that just happened overnight. We're looking back now, and I cannot believe that I'm sat here. It's been 10 years. I
Yeah.
I
T-
don't
it goes
think it's
by like it's crazy how fast it goes, doesn't it?
and I never thought it's not that I never thought I would get to this point. I can't believe how quickly it's happened and how much has happened in those 10 years. And it just begs to question what else is going to happen in the next, sort of 10 years.
Yeah. And you've showed yourself that you're capable of great things. And what was the moment, that things started to take off? How, like, describe that energy that you felt when that started to happen, when people started to like reach out to you and see you as this kind of this brand behind it all.
I think ultimately you're just running on dopamine. It's just because, seeing your name in print. I still own and have all my magazine cuttings, papers, everything I've ever been featured in. I still have them. Anything that was printed. It almost becomes a competition with yourself. You're like, what can I achieve next? What can I do next? And, I'm proud of my achievements, but it's funny because, you go for these low hanging fruits at times because they're easy wins. And then you think, oh, I really want to, for example, win an award. You win an award. And I remember the first time I won an award, by the end of the night, I was so tired and I had so far to go home. And I was on the train in my nice ball gown on the tube at like 2 a.m. with my trainers holding my award. And some guy was like, oh, well done. And I was like, yeah, cheers. I got home, I put it on the side, I just went to bed. It was part of me was like, my work's not done yet. Like, that's a nice pat on the back, but I was like, I know I have more to give.
Yeah.
So it's this constant wrestling with yourself. And it's not to say, there's a megalomaniac inside of me, because a lot of the time, the just smashing glass ceilings and having, your voice heard or people seeing the good work you do was the reward. And the changes that you're making to people's oral hygiene, their attitudes towards dentistry, the fact that, you're probably the only person that listened to them today. But it's this constant, what's next, what's next? And again, the playing field then starts to get noisy. You've got other people there, you've got competition, you've got imitation. So then it's that constant, right, back to the drawing board. How are we going to keep carving out our USP? How are we going to, maintain, I guess, our prominent position in the industry as a known figure and respected clinician? Looking back, I was working a lot. There was no days off. I was hungry for it, so hungry.
Through that, like, how do you still follow your why? Like, what's your secret sauce on that front? Like, obviously you're putting in the work, but is all of it fun? Like, what sort of, how do you like continue to pursue your vision as well?
I think, are you familiar with the Simon Sinek TED Talk?
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. Yeah. Yeah.
When I was trying to carve my story and my brand, I watched that TED Talk, and that's how I, formed sort of the whole mission statement for London Hygienist, and really honed in on that. So every time I felt a sort of, I don't know, wasn't sure what I was doing anymore or why I was doing it, I just went back to my golden circle and I reminded myself of that. And it's, it's written on a piece of paper, and even in the third person, as though I had, created a company, and that company is still, not just London Hygienist, it's a meet the team. And it was like, we believe, and we this and we that. And that was always my sort of driving focus. And I always say that it is important to know your why and your purpose, but equally, it's okay if one day that purpose and that why changes or it starts to pivot, because eventually, with all things, you probably will achieve everything you wanted to achieve. And if I'm honest, I think I woke up one day and was like, yeah, I'm kind of bored and lonely. I'm at the top of my mountain. It's pretty cold. The view's average. It's quite lonely, and it's a long way back down. And that's really, really hard place to be.
So what's next then? Like, what's is it another mountain? Like, where do you go from here? What evolves next?
My back says no to mountains, but I think you know what? I think learning to slow down, it has been probably my biggest lesson, and to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because what happens is, when you've achieved all the sort of things you perceive in your head that you want to achieve, the problem is it then feels like it's not enough. So you're like, it's not enough. But you can rationalize with yourself. I say to myself all the time, I'm like, I'm the girl that has everything, I've got my business, my health, my hobbies, my friends, career, a home. I've got everything. Why is that not enough? And the problem is, we're constantly seeking the next thing, and we're very eager to not be uncomfortable. It's like, you don't like your job, leave it. Don't like your partner, leave them. Don't like your home, move. It's constantly moving away from what's uncomfortable. Once you've moved away from what's uncomfortable, you're left in the void, because now you're like, okay, everything's calm and peaceful. I feel better. I can hear myself think. But the problem is now, especially when you've been such an achiever for so long, you then start to feel guilty. You're not working hard enough. You're not working on your next project. You're procrastinating. There's all these thoughts that spiral in your head. And I personally have made a decision to become friends with the void and not fight it anymore, because I have fought it. And I've had 3 days of my own thoughts this weekend being like, what am I doing? What am I
Yeah.
doing with my life? What's
Yeah.
next?
Yeah.
And sometimes just trying to find peace and joy in the being. That's
Do you
all.
think we like this whole hustle culture thing? We chatted about this before we jumped on this. Do you think we miss the joy and the happiness in the like the pursuit, the journey? Are we always like is the happiness like this anomaly that's always without our reach? Like I think the hustle culture makes that mistake that, you know, we should enjoy it too. Do you feel that?
I 100% feel that. We did have this chat earlier. I Hustling was glamorized. If you were hustling, you were looked up to, and that's what everyone else was aspiring to do. It's not healthy. It leads to burnout, and actually you end up feeling miserable, and you don't have that time to appreciate your achievements, the journey, all those things that come with it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think there's something to be said for having a bit more of a soft life. And I've been enjoying a soft girl era since last August, when I decided to stop
Mm-hmm.
pumping the gas all the time and just slow down and actually just enjoy, work smart, not hard, prioritize your mental health, your wellness, all those things. Whereas before it was just oh, I don't feel well, but I have to go to work. I'm going to go to work. You just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And that's then where the resistance comes in, because deep down you're like, this isn't right. This isn't normal. So you're
Mm-hmm.
constantly in tug of war with your sort of brain and your subconscious. And ultimately it just leads to unfulfillment. Finding work-life balance is really important as well. And I think for some people it's different. I have to think about is myself. I don't have a partner, I don't have children, so I can do anything and everything I want at all times, which sometimes is great, but other times it's as if you had something else that needed your time and attention, you can put them into like little pots of energy. But I definitely think hustle, grinding, all those words that were used, female boss, all that stuff is like, I'm like, hun, have a day off, go and get your nails done,
No
just
doubt.
chill.
Yeah, yeah. I feel you. Like in December, I had a crashing moment. Like I had a week off and I didn't want to go back to work. Right. So, man, oh man, I feel that. Like, what would you say your takeaways from that realization in August until now? Like, what three key things have you learned? Like in terms of just being healthy, what is that for
I
you?
think one big thing is everything will always be okay. It's somehow, if you just believe and trust, the universe will not drop you on its head.
Yeah.
Somehow, every month, even though I'm working less, still pay my rent on time. I've moved into a flat on my own and it's costing me more money. And for a long time, I was like, oh, you need to go back to work. You need to work. And I was like, no, no, just work smart, take the jobs that do feel good. And actually, what does happen is when you are in work, because you're firing on all cylinders, you are actually making the same, if not more, because you're working efficiently and you're
Yeah.
able to think properly, which therefore means, things like treatment planning, having conversations with patients about other treatments, that it just comes easily and naturally. It's not you're trying to clean while type their notes or say, oh yeah, I'll see you in 6 months. They've got your sole attention. So you move through work in a simple way. So that's one thing. Secondly, being okay with saying no
Yeah.
to that's not just work. That's having boundaries. For years I didn't have boundaries. I didn't even know what a boundary was. So learning how to say no, learning how to articulate thoughts and feelings in a way that are like conflict free. And actually a lot of it comes from just doing the work. I can't sit here and blame other people. I have to sometimes look inwards and be like, what part am I playing? How am I showing up? So I think taking some time out to do that work, and also get a hobby.
Yeah.
Everyone who is feeling stressed or under pressure, get a hobby. Make time for a hobby,
Yeah.
whatever it may be. Go back to playing a musical instrument, art, everyone, take up paddle, whatever. Just get a hobby, because getting a hobby last year was the thing that like saved my mental health, and most of all gave me something else to be interested in. Gave
I
me something
think
to look.
like finding joy in life is so important. Like otherwise we're robots. You know what I mean? It's, spend quality time with the people that you love and filter those people down to the folks that are like really, they know your heart. Like pursue passions. I couldn't agree more. What instruments are you playing? So you have like a foundation
No.
of an artist.
No, I don't have any musical instruments here, but I just think going back to something that, like I said, having a hobby, something that makes you almost hyper fixate on something else
Sure. Yeah.
really, really helps, because okay, so I'll tell you mine. So I
Yeah.
took up
Yeah.
playing poker last year.
Yeah.
So I've always been interested in poker. I don't play cash poker. I like tournament. You buy in, you get your chips. When you're out kind of thing. So I'd always had an interest in playing. I used to play in the winter online. I learned when I was like 18. But I decided to push myself out of my comfort zone and do something that maybe would make me feel a bit alive again. And that was to play in real life with other people. So I went to my first tournament. It was a home game. I walked in, there was like 21 men in a room, and they were like, "Are you any good?" I was like, "We're about to find out."
We'll see. Yeah.
I finished third. They were all lovely, and it really sort of gave me something where I was like, yeah, okay, I can do this. That was it. I was reading books. I was watching videos. I go to the gym. I go on the stepper just so I can watch my like study videos. I then started going to the casino on my own, which was scary. But then I also started playing in a women's monthly meetup. So again, just when I play poker, I am not even kidding. I am not thinking about anything else but what is going on. I do not go on my phone. I'm not distracted. I am not thinking about anything but the cards.
Yeah. You have to be
And
engaged in that game. Like you have to be present in the game.
and tournament poker is like playing chess. Like
Yeah.
it's warfare. This isn't just throw all your chips in. When it's tournament structure, there's a lot of thinking that goes involved. And I'm that passionate about it. I'm starting with a coach.
It's a lot of fun. It really is. I love the strategy, and like that war analogy is so true. When are you heading to Vegas?
Well, so the World Series is on right now. I couldn't
Yeah.
make it this year, but I've got 1 year to get ready to play in the World Series, because a woman has never won the main event.
There you go.
So
Goals.
tell me it can't be done.
That's your next why, right? That's your next purpose.
Yeah. Well, listen, you know what? When I think about it, because when people say like, "What would make you feel happy?" Like, what do you want?
Mm-hmm.
Do not be afraid to say out loud what your ideal like day or week looks like, and actually sit down, write it out. I have found things that I have written in a journal from years ago, and it's crazy how some of the stuff has come true, and more so than I would ever think. So if you're into your manifesting, or at least just hone in that feeling of what it could feel like to be living your dream life, and it doesn't matter how big or crazy it is your dream life. Create it, feel it. So often, and I think to myself now, what really do I care about? And I'm not ready to leave dentistry. I still love dentistry. My time I'm not done. I've got things to do here. However, my time in clinic has been reduced. That is something that I needed to do for my physical health and mental health. But for me, a couple of days dentistry, so a couple of days clinic, a couple of days within the industry, and then a couple of days playing poker and just living my life. That is my dream week.
That sounds fun. I'm in. What about teaching? You some of your peers. What would you say to the gals getting into it now that have your ambition? What would you tell your younger self starting out? Like if somebody wanted to sort of put themselves on the map, so to say. Don't do it. Walk away. Don't climb the mountain. Go get out of here.
Get a job in like tech or finance or something. No.
Awesome.
The truth is, I see young students and young professionals all the time, and people come to me, and I'm always very honored that they would ask me, but I keep it real for them. And the reality is, I tell them, slow down, spend a year or two actually just acclimatizing to working without someone holding your hand. Because first of all, it is a shock. When you leave, the real world is not like uni. It's not like clinic. We used to have 2 hours for a patient. My first job was 30 minutes a patient, and they all had all the problems in the world. So most importantly, I say just start slowly. Start with 1 or 2 days a week. Get mentored. Make sure you work in a practice where you're being mentored, where you can walk into the dentist and say, hey, can you have a look at this with me? Or, hey, can I grab you after work? Can we talk through a case? Like, be surrounded by people that are going to help you grow. Even now, after 10 years, I still go into the dentist. I'm like, can you just check this radiograph for me? Or can you just come and have a look at this? We are students forever. The second thing I say to them is like, get any idea of being some kind of, superstar influencer person. That is not that doesn't form your purpose and your why. Yes, feel free to play with it, have fun with it, use it as part of your journey. But again, hone in on your why. What is it you want to achieve, and what do you want to do, and how do you want to be remembered, more than anything? Legacy. And the thing is, it's a marathon. It's not a race. As someone who sprinted to the top of the mountain, there was no one there to clap for me when I got there.
Yeah.
It's just enjoy it. Also, I think what's really important is to be curious and intrigued by other things outside. So for me, lots of psychology. I'm interested in sort of psychology and why people act the way they do or behave the way they do, and even diving into things like neuro-linguistic programming for communication and how people learn and understand. So I think the deeper you can have an understanding, because we work with patients at the end of the day, okay? So you could be the best when it comes to technical skills. You could be the best at, veneers or fillings, but you could be awful when it comes to patients. And also go and learn about yourself. Go and process your thoughts and feelings in whatever way that may, whether it be spiritually, religiously, with the help of a professional. Go and learn about yourself, because even if you don't think you have any problems, when you start,
we all do, right? We're all, yeah.
And then you look at your childhood trauma and all those other things,
and then completely derail yourself, right?
Do it. But again, why not? These are, you're asking me what would I say to my younger self. These are things that I did and I stumbled across. So if it helps other people along the way, and also just talk to people, whether it's your friends or your family. The problem is we don't do it because we don't want to be a burden, or we don't want to come across as being like weak or needy. But you got to tip that cup out. If it's filling up to the brim, you need to tip it out. You need to tell people how you're feeling, because actually I was so worried about telling some of my workplaces how I was feeling, because I constantly worried, well, what will they do without me, or what will the patients do, and things like that. And actually, as soon as I just said, I'm not in a great place, the response was, what can we do to help you? And my boss was like, should we close some of your days? You've got some half days, the other half's not full. Shall I close them down for you? And already just knowing I'd only have to go in, say, for a few hours really helped to sort of make what felt so big and heavy a bit smaller and lighter.
Like how I think we make the mistake of just kind of swimming on the surface sometimes. I think everything you're talking about is deep rooted, isn't it? I think we need to explore that more with ourselves, and then that will kind of inform the right questions to ask, the right people to surround ourselves with. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Like I said, make friends with the void. It's not to be filled. And actually, as soon as I turned around and said, you know what, I'm not going to fight to get out of this uncomfortableness, and decided to make friends with it, I feel like I've beaten the void now, because the void was like, oh, I was holding you back because you're uncomfortable, and now you're comfortable in the void.
What does the void what does the void represent for you? Like what entity is it?
The
If you had
void
to,
is the void is that uh, lack of purpose, lack of drive, feeling, you're just, what am I doing with my life? Being really self-critical and harsh on yourself. And actually, I spoke to a yogi friend of mine, and I knew I knew he knew what to say. And he was like, we rush to be comfortable. And actually, you need to be uncomfortable. If you're going through a phase where you're like, I don't really know what's going on with my life right now, I don't really know what's next for me, what would you say to a friend? You would tell them to have some compassion, be kind to themselves, just rest, just be and see what happens. And he kind of described the void as almost being like a caterpillar on its journey. And you could look at the void as a chrysalis. And if you rush to get out of that chrysalis too soon, you might come out with only one wing, or your antenna is broken, or
right, right,
you're a beautiful butterfly, you're a like scrawny moth or something. It's like just
right,
whatever it is, because also if you don't stop and slow down, the universe will find a way to stop and slow you down. And
right.
that could be, like you said, you had to have a week off. I've had friends that have had time off. I've had time off. If you don't slow down, something will happen. And
Yeah, yeah, and that could that could be health things, or bad things. I've seen that with lots of young people, strokes and heart attacks. Like it's, what I
we're
mean.
moving.
That's yeah,
The thing is, because the world around us is moving so fast, it's
yeah,
like we have to. And actually, it's toxic. I mean, I've lived in London for 12 years. The
hmm.
pace here is crazy.
Oh
I
yeah,
think honestly, if I was living somewhere where you've got, I mean, I have got parks and greenery and things around me, but if you woke up somewhere in the countryside and it's quiet and you're surrounded by nature and everyone's just kind of like going along just a bit slower, no one's pushing and rushing. It's all energy at the end of the day. And quite often now, I won't take the tube or public transport. I don't want all these people touching me with all their like manky energy. And I have to, work and touch patients all day long. It's all energy transfer.
hmm.
And I think there's something to be said to slowing down. And I don't think I've had a job since I was 13 as well as studying. So I've always worked. I don't think I've ever like slowed down. I've done
Hmm.
7 days for weeks on end just because that's what I thought was normal.
Yeah.
It's not.
Likewise, I think I started when I was 13 too. It's life passes by quickly, and the great moments are. There's been lots, just being out by yourself or with a good friend. That's what it's all about, I think, or a hobby, like you said. We need to make sure that that's where the balance lies, right? Like we need to ensure we give ourselves that medication. It's just so good for the soul. Whatever that might be. There's, I'll speak to the sort of the craziness inside the city. When you finally get to somewhere that's serene, like you feel it in your bones, right? Like there's plenty of places here near Vancouver where you could just kind of disappear and you're actually out of cell service. I think sort of ingrained into us, there's this unnatural thing about this hustle thing. I think that's why a lot of the world is really anxious and full of anxiety and depressed right now, is because, we're all pursuing this magical thing that, might not be there in the end. And it's always this pursuit. And it can be very draining, right? And unfulfilling. And how awesome is it, just have that moment where you just like pick up a book and it's quiet. You got some tunes on. Like those are the moments. That's like, I want more of that. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
think that's the problem, and you hit the nail on the head. Like our nervous system is in overdrive at
oh
all
yeah,
times.
yeah,
And
like,
I grew up in a day and age we didn't have mobile phones. You go
hmm.
and knock for your friend. You go and play in the fields. You cause like probably some trouble, and low key. We're just kids being kids, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But we wrote letters to each other. When I was cleaning out the loft of my home, I found letters and cards that friends had made over the years. We used to live next to a campsite, and all those ways in which life was really sweet and innocent. We used to make dance routines to Britney songs and
Yeah.
learn all of the Eminem rap lyrics. Life was like pure and sweet then. It was easy. The problem is with obviously social media is constant comparison.
Yeah.
And for example, it doesn't affect me. I'm, past that point, but you can't help it. It's as if it's that, again, that little pang inside you. You log online, you're like, oh, someone else has got engaged. Oh, someone else is, having a baby. And you look at yourself and you're like, oh, but I don't have those things. And
I
so
think
for
it's particularly toxic for women. Like it really is.
toxic for men as well. Like, I feel some days I just feel sad for the world. And that's why I don't want to look at the news or social media or online, because we're just constantly bombarded with use this product, do this, look this way, try this. It's everything it's no one's happy.
It's taking us all further away from ourselves, I think. That's what I think it pulls us in the wrong direction. When we're always kind of looking outwards at everybody else and like I think you really have to define your own path and whatever that might be.
It's funny because I think it's hard enough navigating this world at times as an adult. So to be a young person or a child in this world, it's where do you even sort of begin? And I think just, as you say, being able to sort of disconnect and come home to yourself. Growing up, we all ate dinner at the table together. We played board games. There was no iPads. If we watched television, it was as a family and we'd watch a film and that was it. There's something to be said. And I do believe this shift towards more like sort of human connection is becoming trendy, let's say. People are less and less wanting to be on social media. They are saying, hey, let's just go out, even if it's sitting in the park. More people are exploring holistic approaches. So, things like breath work, yoga, meditation, getting out of the city, but also having boundaries around their work, saying, hey, I'm going to do 4 days and not 6, or I finish at 6 p.m. and that's that. Working in ways that help everyone just stay a bit more constantly productive rather than running at 100 miles an hour and then crashing and being like, hey, I'm useless for another week.
It's like you said, it's the marathon. It's not a sprint. And I think maybe you're right. I think the psyche of our, the Western culture for sure is, I think everybody's had enough. You know what I mean? I think it's enough.
And speak on my experiences. I'm by no means an expert in any of this, but I am sharing it as someone who, had it all, has it all, thought I had it all, still doesn't know what I'm doing. I'm still trying to figure it out. And, people are like, oh, you're so put together and stuff. I'm like, look, let's be honest. Have any of us really got it figured out?
No. And I to add to that, I think it's kind of chaos from the bottom all the way up to the top. I don't think anybody has it figured it out. So, and we all need to drink more water. That's for sure, right?
I'm on my 5th pint for the day.
I honestly started drinking 3 of these. It's close to a liter, 3 of them a day, and I feel so much better. Like as soon
as I wake up, before I have my first coffee, get a whole pint of water down me, because I think half the time your brain is dehydrated.
Yeah. And I think we're so focused on that, like again, it kind of adds to sort of the conversation that we're having is we're forgetting about ourselves. Or I think that's it, because we're pursuing these dreams and all these other things and our future selves. Like how great is it to just be like in the present moment,
And that's one thing. And just like a muscle, you can train it. And also, what, it's funny, one thing, and it may be useful for other people. Whenever I feel my mind wandering, and it's always the worst case scenario, and I'm like, how am I going to resolve this? What am I going to do with this? I just pause for a second. I'm like, what's the best case scenario? Yeah. And then I start talking to myself in another aspect of actually, what if everything did just work out the way it was supposed to, and you can slowly calm yourself back down again and just breathe. Like, I think we spend a lot of time in surgery and in clinic, and I don't know, probably lots of people work in rooms that don't have windows. They're very noisy. It's not a very healthy environment. And even yesterday when I finished work, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do the walk home. And I carried on. I kept walking and walking and walking. I ended up walking 10K. It was, the
Nice.
walk wasn't that long. I just extended it. But just walking and being outside, like you said, listening to music. I walked past the river. I walked through a couple of the parks. I made sure I walked on the grass. And all of a sudden I was like, okay, I feel a lot better.
Yeah.
Just taking that time to do those little things that we take for granted often. I'm so grateful every day that I get up and I have a body that is functioning and carrying me and serving me.
Hmm.
And I'm I'm not going to harm it with any more stress or unnecessary labor.
And we take it for granted, don't we? Right? Like, you know, um, health is the biggest value to all of us. I think as soon as you don't have health, it doesn't matter how much cash or what kind of lifestyle or whatever you're living. And I think we need to and that includes the mind as well. I think we need to focus on ourselves and press the brakes a little bit more,
I can't call myself a healthcare professional if I'm not in
An advocate
shape.
for that. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Come to see you and you're a hot mess. That's not, that's not the way it's meant to be. But look, it's all a journey. And I think I always, someone said to me once, there's no such thing as failure, only feedback. So regardless of where you are, what you're trying to achieve, what you have or haven't, it's all just take from it, learn from it. And also hindsight's a wonderful thing. A year from now, things are going to look so different. And I just keep reminding myself that just because what I've created in my head of thinking where I should be and what I want to have or want to be doesn't mean that where I am right now isn't exactly where I'm supposed to be. And
Yeah.
just let it be.
I think and just, it's all going to work out, right? As long as we're doing the right things in the moment at that time in our lives. I think, not causing harm. Sometimes life happens and terrible things happen, but you can't focus on that. You just gotta, keep moving forward, right?
Absolutely. Just keep showing up. I always say, just treat others how you want to be treated. It's even the little things, the small interactions in a busy city. There's a lady at the train station where I go every morning. She watches the gate. I say good morning to her every morning. I watch people walk past. They don't speak to her. I say good morning every morning. And it's those little interactions, trying to learn a little bit every day, and just also being okay with not being okay.
Yeah.
Some days you're just going to feel and
Yeah.
sad. I want to have a little cry.
Allow yourself to be human, right? Yeah, we're not.
Robots. Earlier, we're not robots. We need to stop
Yeah.
being shiny and perfect all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. That's what, post-production's for, you you clean it up after. So with all this in mind, where, this is probably a terrible question to ask you, but I'm going to ask you, where do you see yourself in 5 years from now?
5 years from now, I would have won multiple poker trophies.
Nice.
I will still be working in dentistry. I will still be seeing my patients, but I will be I want to continue to be part of the sort of the generation and the professionals that are spearheading development, changes, awareness. I want to continue connecting with every clinician and person I can from around the world, and just continuing to find peace. That's what I would really like. And
Yeah, I
maybe a
love it.
dog.
Oh, what kind of dog? What kind of dog though?
I used to have a Labrador, so I do like big
Ah,
dogs.
yeah, yeah,
But I'm also, there's something about holding a small dog like a little baby.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Maybe I'll get two. I'll get a big one and a small one.
That's right. There you go. Best of all worlds, right? Right. It's good.
And
It's
no
good.
burnout. I don't want any more burnout in my life.
It's quality, right? I think that comes from quality rather than quantity and everything. I think you choose the things that you want to do and pursue. And like you said that's your second point was saying no. like it's okay. It's okay to say no. You're not letting anybody down. You're not letting yourself down. You're actually doing yourself a favor by saying no. And I think by saying no, you attract more of the things that you want to say yes to, right? You make more time available for the yes stuff. And that's I think the best journey or the best pursuit is the things that you naturally want to go towards. And yeah. I think we could probably chat about this stuff for a lot. Like I've been in this thought for a while now. Like part of my deal is I'm writing a book with a friend, a guy that I've known for 30 years. We started writing a book. Why? Because that's what I want to do. I think finding the things that you want to do is so important. What else is top of mind for you? You got, you're going to a festival coming up here. Are you excited for that?
I am excited, and I am excited to, as we said, just work in ways that feel great. So one thing, we talked about teaching a little bit. I'm very fortunate to teach and train for a company, and it's always really interesting to go in and see how other practices run and work. One thing I've always been is a problem solution based person. So going in and sort of helping others work smarter, not harder, and in ways that are healthy is something I do find really rewarding. I guess as someone who's been on the other side, and just like yourself, we kind of are poised as consultants in a way, like sort of work consultants, be like, don't do that, or don't spend your money there, or don't, operate in this way. Let's clean up the diet. Let's clean up the structure. Let's get the staff better trained. Those things I think are really valued by people, because everyone wants to do well, but sometimes it just takes, the outside person to step in and say, it's like when Chef Ramsay goes into nightmares.
Yeah.
You walk in and you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Is that the type of teacher that you are? Like,
no,
like lots of F-bombs?
Really nice. I push their head in between gloves with them idiots. But again, it's that, I think being able to listen to what's being, said to you. Again, it's come with part of the journey. So I just sit there. People will tell you everything you need to know in like the first 30 seconds of like meeting them. So it's, using 2 ears and 1 mouth and using them in that order.
Yeah.
And I think there's one thing that always used to grind my gears when I started in this industry was people saying, oh, but we've always done it this way.
Yeah.
What?
Good luck doing that now. Like the amount of change that's happening is,
do we think it's time to maybe do things differently, or at least try?
Yeah.
So that's always an interesting one for me. But again, I thrive off a challenge, and I think for me now it's honing in on the skills I have built in the last 10 years, leveraging my peers and my network to see what can we do next that is fun, exciting, progressive, but just, not forcing it, just flow and see what happens.
Yeah, I can see like a great training program that you'd put together. I think you see a lot, like obviously being from your vantage point, and I think you have a lot to give back to the community. So we hope that we don't lose you from the dental world. That
anyway.
Yeah.
Come on, if it's only been 10 years, give me at least another 10, 15.
Well, you know what they say too, like as soon as you enter the dental world, it's like a vortex that you're not getting out of. Like it will keep sucking you back into it, right?
I'm in all sorts of voids.
Yeah. Anna, it's been Fantastic. I'm so happy that you finally were able to make it on here. I hope to have you on again. This has been such an awesome conversation. Any kind of closing thoughts, quotes, inspirational or not?
Oh, I feel like I've said so many throughout this whole thing.
I know, and I'm putting you right on the
Yeah.
spot.
Okay, just anyone who's not, I guess, for those who probably listening and maybe feel some of the things that we've said has resonated with them, I just know you're not alone, as cliche as it sounds.
Yeah.
I guess that everyone just try and find joy in the small things, just being grateful for one thing a day. Again, it's a muscle. You can train it, you can make it stronger. And also don't be afraid to walk away from things if they're not fulfilling you, if they're not making you happy. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I want to start again in whatever area or field that may be. So
Yeah.
just we're all in this together.
We are, yeah. And as isolated as it feels, sometimes you're right on. And I feel that globally. It's been cool to talk to your, eight time zones away. It's cool that we're all kind of in the same world, right? Anything you want to
come and see you?
What's that? Sorry.
When I come to Vancouver next, I'll come and see you. I'm going to be in Canada next month, but I'll be in Edmonton for a wedding.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let me know when. Yeah, be great. Well, you can. We'll go for a nice walk somewhere. Stanley Park. There you go.
Stanley Park, beautiful.
It is. Where I'm very fortunate. I love London too. I'm planning on coming out that way too.
Anything you when you come as well.
There you go. So it's a little, a mutual tour guiding. There you go. Love it. Anything that you want to plug before we kick off here?
No, just if anyone, I guess, all my social media handles and everything is London Hygienist. I always love connecting and hearing from other people, particularly if there was anything that we talked about that felt resonated with you, or if you're intrigued or curious about how we do things over the pond or wherever you're listening to this, please do connect with me. I always love hearing from people and meeting people, and I guess watch this space and see what's next.
Yeah. It's forever changing. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. All right. I'll let you go back to the craziness that you're doing. You're going to go get yourself 2 dogs, right? One small one, one large one, and just be a happy Anna. Yeah. Thank you so much again for your time, and we'll have to do this again.
Yes, please. Thank you. Take care.
You bet.